Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
So, are you guys still holding the in-person service for the 10 a.m. time slot?
Yes.
You guys are still holding service?
We're still doing the online service.
Yeah, how many people are in there right now?
I haven't counted. I don't know.
Counted? Is it okay if I just take a look?
We have a guaranteed right to assemble. We have a guaranteed right to breathe freely. What Canadians don't understand is there's no order that supersedes our rights under the Constitution.
Well, if you're looking for some criminal action to watch, boy, is this the report for you. I'm standing in front of Riverside Calvary Chapel in Langley, BC, where a group of Christians have gathered. This is the second service today, deemed non-essential by Dr. Bonnie Henry until at least December 7th. She wants people to hold their breath that in 2 weeks, the freedom to practice religion may be possible if cases stop in the midst of cold and flu season. But enough is enough, says Pastor Brent Smith and some of his congregation. I imagine not everybody's here, but I'm going to show you what happened today. I wasn't the only one who stood outside the church. There was also bylaw officers and police that were sent here. So I'm going to show you what transpired. We'll talk to Brent Smith and some of the Christians who attended here, knowing that bylaw was on to the church and the fact that they were staying open and not caring, still wanting to practice their religion. And also I point out that inside of this church, I got to tell you, it's not like the Costco where you see the buggies next to next for the Christmas shopping happening. It's not like the gym around the corner. I mean, I'm sure they're doing fine, but they're allowed to go into the gym. That's right around the corner here. They've got signs here. They've got hand sanitizer. They've got everything that you would want to see if you're worried about spreading COVID, but let's take a look.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt your worship service. I'm just basically here to assist the bylaw officer that's here, okay? Yeah. So that's why I'm here.
Right, so it appears that the bylaw officer that was waiting outside patiently was waiting for the police to come assist him. About 3 officers, as you saw, came, and so far, so good. They kind of came in and checked the place out. So Emily, fill us in on what happened when the police came here.
So we met them outside and just had a conversation with them, and we didn't really let them come into the building, but we figured we wouldn't fight it, and he just came to the foyer, and I had a conversation with him about just our rights, and he totally understood. He's a believer as well, but he has to do his job, which I totally respect. I just gave him my contact information and had a pleasant conversation with him, to be honest, and I'm sure he will be contacting me later to follow up with some things, but he respected that he cannot, by the law, disrupt our worship service, so praise the Lord for that, and we're just trusting in the Lord for the next steps.
I think this is a perfect example about how important it is now in 2020 for us to get familiar with what laws protect ourselves. Because if you didn't know that, you probably would have just thought he can go march right into the service, right? Yeah. And what about the bylaw officer that was already waiting outside before? What did he have to say about all this?
Yeah, so he talked to our lead pastor this morning. We let him in before the service started, and he is the one who called the police officers, but he has been in our parking lot since about 8:15, I believe. But I mean, he doesn't have the order signed. We asked him if he had the legitimate order that was signed and official, saying that we legitimately cannot meet, and he was not able to provide that for us. So he can't do anything as of now, so we're just trusting in what we know and what we're educated in. We have things printed out, we have the law printed out, we have our rights printed out, so we just know that the Lord is providing us in those things. So.
And I got to tell you, on the way in here, it's the first service, it's early. I could see people walking into the gym right here. There's a gym here, and I'm not docking that. We need to go to the gym, we need to exercise, that's great. But what does it feel like that people just a few doors down are allowed to go to the gym and exercise, but they can't worship God in Canada?
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't actually notice that myself, but it's very biased, very unlawful, and we see communism and discrimination against religious places, and it's just with everything going on, it is heartbreaking to see. And me, like, I feel attacked by my faith, but I just stand so firm in what God is doing here, and we're just not fearful of what's going to happen or what could happen because we have the Lord on our side. But that's definitely, it's so unlawful and biased that it's hard to hear that, but I pray that people will have their eyes open to how biased this really is. It's not fair, that you can't just pick and choose places that you feel is right, because we have to have truth. We have to seek the truth in all things, and there has to be right. So I'm thankful that we have leadership here that is seeking the truth.
Sounds like he's going to let us do our thing for today and just let us worship, and then contact us later if there's going to be any issues, which, glory to God, I'm super thankful that they're not just pulling a China move.
So as you can see behind me, even though the church has been told for now they're going to be left alone, they will not be disturbing the service. There's more manpower here now. I think there's about 6 or 7 officers all in line Sunday morning during a church service. You guys saw the signs plastered all over, social distance here. They've got the hand sanitizer out. It's not looking like a super spreader church to me. But nevertheless, this is the most pressing crime, I guess, right now in Langley, BC. So what's the plan here today for the Christians?
We're just discussing that right now with my supervisor. So.
All right. So what did you tell them so far?
We didn't tell them anything so far. I just got some information from one of the contacts, and that was as far as we went.
Right. I heard one of the things they said was, not to interrupt a religious service. Can you speak into that law at all?
I won't be answering any questions right now. I'll direct you to my supervisor, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Is he here now, or he or she?
Yes, one of them is here right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so I'm just standing out here. See, the officers are here. Now, you, sir, you've got a lot going on here. You've got blue gloves, rags. So what's your job here today?
Today, I'm just trying to take care of all the, just cleaning for COVID, just making sure that this is a safe environment for everybody that's coming into the building. We've been doing this all along. We want to maintain all the protocols that are in place with distancing and all those types of things that are going on, and this is just a big part of going around and keeping everything clean for people, just so it's safe and we can keep any danger of COVID contact.
Now, as far as you know, has this location been tied to any outbreaks?
No, 0.
I think maybe you have a lot to do with that.
Possibly, yeah. It's got to help at least, so yeah, we just want to keep people safe. So what?
Here's your copy. The police file number's on the top there, the very top. Okay. And then
anything else I need to know?
No. If you want to dispute it, how to dispute it is on the back.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a good day, guys.
All right, you too.
God bless. God bless.
It seems biased, but I'm not a Charter of Rights expert, but it does seem like a line has been crossed, where, we're taking care of all COVID protocol and trying to be careful, and they want to close us down. But right now I could go down to Walmart, grab a shopping cart, and get COVID off of the handle. So it doesn't make any sense. And as far as we believe, the spiritual needs of our community is above everything essential.
Freedom of conscience and religion. C, freedom of peaceful assembly and freedom of association. So, there's a lot of debate over what we're doing and everything, if it's right and stuff. We believe that we have the freedom and the right that's been built in by people that want to respect the supremacy of God.
I see that there is a ticket that was issued. What have you been told?
Well, my friend here, Randy, talked to the officer, so I was inside doing the service, and apparently we were getting ticketed outside here, being told that we're not allowed to meet, and they'll be back for our next services to re-ticket us and ticket individuals that come walking in. That's what we're being told.
And how much is the fine for?
This one is $2,300 for the church here, and then individuals sound like they'll be getting ticketed about $230 for coming.
So I got to tell you, I walked in here. We've got this gentleman here. He's been wiping down the doors.
Good job.
We've got signs on the doors. The front entrance has, hand sanitizers, masks. What would you have to say to Canadians who believe that churches like yours are just big super spreaders?
Yeah, well, I think we look at what the facts have shown, and that hasn't been the case. And we've been meeting here since May and holding 3 services, and we've had no incidences happen. And we're happy to follow along with restrictions when we see that it is necessary and truly a medical emergency. We just haven't seen that yet. And I think a lot of people would agree that the numbers and the data just aren't lining up. So we're trying to be careful. We're trying to do everything safe and do our part. But we feel that meeting together here is something that we have in our law, and we just desire to continue on to do so while we can.
So you had 3 services planned today. The first one just finished. You got a $2,000 fine. You're told the next services will have the same treatment and maybe even some of the attendees here. Why is this a sword that you're willing to fall on?
Well, I think, again, we see that we have in our own Charter of Rights and Freedoms, we have the freedom to meet, to gather. We've seen just a lot of inconsistencies with what they've allowed to be open and people to be able to gather, and to see churches singled out and shut down, we just feel is going beyond what they should be doing, and taking away the rights that we have to do so.
Did you think this time last year, could you imagine that this would be your reality as a pastor?
Absolutely not. It is amazing at how quick this is all gone this way. And I'm absolutely shocked. And that's why I think we feel we need to take a stand, because I don't see that it is going to get any better unless people take a stand.
And what are you going to do with the fines? Are you going to go to fightthefines.com with those, or?
Absolutely. Thank you, Rebel News. And we're hoping that these all get overturned.
Thank you very much.
Here's $100 just for your...
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much, John. Appreciate it. John, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
I just find it absolutely crazy in this day and age that we're even talking about this. First of all, I was just, as I was driving in the RCMP, we were just leaving, and I just found it absolutely terrible that we're even at the state. And I don't care the fact that it's Christians being attacked. All faiths and all religions should be open. If this building is a Costco or a Walmart, they have 300-400 people. The parking lots are packed. But heaven forbid we have any faith of any religions, of any churches. And again, it's not just Christians that are being attacked. It's the Sikhs, it's the Hindus, it's the Jewish synagogues, every religion. We should all be open. Again, if the Walmarts have been open all this time with no problems, and the Costco's, why can't the churches? Because there's a hidden agenda. We all know it.
Now, we've been told that if in the second service, it might be some of the attendees who be fined. So what happens if you receive a fine today?
I would love it. I would even love to go to jail. Sign me up. I came here and I texted someone that just told me about this church. I honestly don't know anything about this church. I says, before this pastor goes to church, I'll take his place and go to jail for him. I don't really care. I will go to jail to prove loyalty to the Christian faith. I don't care. Jail doesn't scare me. Jail food does, but jail itself doesn't.
We've got Tanya Gaw here from Action for Canada, a familiar face. She's taking on BC with Rocco Galati. You can check out at rebelnews.com some of our reports about that with Tanya. Now, Tanya, what's brought you here to this church today?
Well, Drea, it's been a bit of a journey. About a month and a half ago, I wrote a call to action saying that freedom of religion is essential. And I went through a list of things as to, how the church serves the community. And for many people, they don't have family. This is the only family they have. It's the only community they have. We know that because of these extreme and unprecedented lockdowns and unnecessary lockdowns, that people are suffering with depression, anxiety, and there's a real increase in suicide rates. And a lot of that it's completely established around that community. A lot of it has to do with people losing jobs. Well, when I posted that, I had that call to action. I'd made just a little note at the bottom that if a pastor wanted to know more about their rights, then to just get in contact. And I came to know Pastor Brent, and we had sat down and had a meeting and just discussing what pastors' rights are under the Constitution. And we have a guaranteed right to assemble. We have a guaranteed right to breathe freely. What Canadians don't understand is there's no order that supersedes our rights under the Constitution. And so the pastors are now standing up, and we're fully supporting. There's teams of us, groups of us, that are supporting the pastors to go by their constitutional right, get into church, and any fine will be contested.
We have Carrie Simpson from Culture Guard. Now, Carrie, fill us in on your take at what happened here today at the church. Fined for practicing religion.
It's probably ground zero as far as the church goes, so that's a good thing. Now we have an opportunity to move this into the courts, to see whether or not the courts are as corrupted as our governments are as far as the rights of the citizenry. And this isn't limited to just the Christian community. This involves the Muslims, the Sikhs. This involves personal freedom and liberty to freely assemble, to gather. All the liberties and freedoms that should be constitutionally entrenched in our everyday rights that are being violated. Now, as far as what happened here today, this is a good thing. We had looked legally at trying to get injunctions, but the government maneuvers the changing of the rules so much, so any injunction would be moot within days. So this now they have to fight according to today's orders, according to today's restrictions.
And so what do you have to say? Oh, Carrie, that's great. People have rights. We get it. But people are dying, and churches are super spreaders.
Well, I'm remembering, the hysteria that was around us being invaded by Martians one year on a radio show. Pandemonium and panic, manufactured panic is what I'm seeing. To call people names, to create the division that Bonnie Henry is doing. Looking into the camera, telling people who are perfectly healthy to stay home if they don't want to wear masks. She's got it wrong on a number of fronts, and it's going to be interesting when this does get to court to see her justify, or attempt, I should say, to justify the positions she's taken. I've been called a lot of names. A super spreader is a new one. I'll just add it to the list.
So, are you guys still holding the in-person service for the 10 a.m. time slot?
Yes.
You guys are still holding service?
We're still doing the online service.
Yeah, how many people are in there right now?
I haven't counted. I don't know.
Is it okay if I just take a look?
I think this is disrupting our service.
Yeah, we don't really want to do that.
Okay, that's fine. If you guys don't want us to enter, we can't. That's fine. Let's go back. Okay.
So while the bylaw officer came back for the second service, you guys looked like you were in prayer. All right. So
Jesus, all the glory.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, we were here in prayer, and as Tanya and Jim were praying, we called upon the name of the King of Kings to his protection. He had a favor on the bylaws members here, and here as a church. So it obviously worked.
Now, is it surreal to be here in Canada praying outside of a church so that the pastor and the attendees don't get fined or maybe even something worse? What does that feel like?
This is a spiritual battle, folks.
Amen.
This is a spiritual battle, and we have to stand in Jesus Christ right now. This is the time that we all, as Christians, must stand. Amen. And we must take this to the Lord first and foremost in prayer, because it's a spiritual battle. We do not see this. It's against principalities and powers and rulers of dark places, and we know that they are all around this globe, and they're fighting us, and right now, it's the devil, you guys, and of course so many people don't believe in the devil anymore, but he is real, and this is a fight against evil, against good, and Amen. Folks, we got to stand for Jesus Christ. He stood for us, and he went to that cross for our sins, and he gave his life for us. We must stand right now. Now is the time.
Amen.
But what about the people, Christians included? There's some Christians included, say, well, the Christianly thing right now, because of COVID-19, is to stay home, shut your door, don't go around your loved ones, and wear a mask, and be happy to do so. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I'd say, first of all, that God does not give us a spirit of fear.
Amen.
And that what we need to do is we start to need to think critically, and we start to need to investigate what it is that we're being told by the mainstream media.
What's happening here for the second service?
What do you mean?
So what's the orders here for you coming the second time? My understanding from what I heard is that there might be some fines issued to the attendees this time around?
No.
No.
Not to the attendees.
Oh, okay, just to the church?
Corporation, yeah.
Okay. And do you feel like being here, I know you're doing your job and things like that, but how does that align with the oath that you took? Do you feel like it's lining up pretty well, or?
Well, that's not something I'm going to provide a comment on.
No. And what about, the Constitution, the Charter of Rights, all of those things, the right for Canadians to practice their religion?
Again, these were ministerial orders, which are lawful, and the police will enforce the laws as they're written.
From your understanding, did you see anything? I know you probably haven't gotten inside too much.
No, we haven't gone inside.
Right. So on the door, though, they do have a notice about COVID-19, and there was some cleaning, the handles and things like that. We've got the gym. It's open right around the corner. People are walking in there. So do you feel like this is like a super spreader event, or?
Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't have an opinion on that.
So you're here to kind of keep the peace as well as assist the bylaw officers?
Correct.
All right. Well, thank you for your service.
All right, thank you.
I just have one follow-up question.
Sure.
You said you're here by ministerial order. Which ministerial order is it that you're relying on?
What do you mean?
Well, there's a number of orders. Which one are you relying on?
Which one am I relying on?
Yeah.
Well, you're not allowed to gather, is what the rules now say.
So you're relying on the one that says you cannot gather. Do you know the date of that ministerial order?
Do you want me to go look up on my computer and provide it to you?
That would be
Sure.
helpful. Thank you.
Give me a sec.
Second service is on the way. The officers are back. Just spoke with the supervisor, and Carrie from Culture Guard asked an amazing question. What order exactly are they here to enforce? The supervisor wasn't able to answer. He has to go check and see exactly what order he's enforcing. So let's see what the answer is to that. All right, Carrie, so the cops have left the parking lot. What just happened out there?
So as a result of your interview, Drea, and the supervising officer mentioning that he was operating under a ministerial order, I happen to know that there are a number of orders associated with this declaration of pandemic going back to March, and I wanted to know which order. Under the Emergency Programs Act, government only has 14 days to continue to declare an emergency, so there's time limits on all these orders. So I just asked the officer what order he was operating under, and there seemed to be some confusion about that. So he went to his car, pulled up his laptop. The bylaw officers, meanwhile, were trying to pull up orders, but their orders aren't ministerial. They're operating under the Public Health Act, and he claimed the one that was issued on November 19th. Next, I know I was being informed by the police when they weren't sure whether or not that order that they were looking at was the right one. The COVID Measures Act. Okay, where do we find that one? Because I have looked at a lot of orders and orders in council and have yet to come across that one. So after that inquiry, they had another little gathering and dispersed.
Well, it looks like people are exiting the second service with no bylaw officers coming out right now, and I think this could be said to be a victory right now then, right?
Well, there is a part of us now that we know our legal position on this. We do hope for more individual fines. The more the better. If the courts want to get clogged with these kinds of cases, then so be it. We're more than happy to assist them with that. I'm hoping these challenges do result in lawyers for the RCMP, lawyers for our bylaw officer, demanding more from Bonnie Henry as far as clarification. Remember, they have to be confident that they are exercising the law after doing their due diligence. We don't want them to be getting into trouble, although the Public Health Act gives great immunity from liability. Negligence does have a consequence.
All right, Brent, so 2 services under belt so far. You've got 1 fine. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling just fine because we have a fine, but God's going to take care of that. And so we're feeling good, and we're thankful for just God's protection. We were being told that people were going to be ticketed after the second service, and that hasn't happened. And so we're just super grateful and thankful, and just staying the course, and we'll continue on.
All right, guys, so you heard it, you saw it. This is Canada 2020, and Apparently it's against the law to gather respectfully, and with COVID in mind, you still can't do it. So comment below, let us know what you thought about this report, and don't forget to check out fightthefines.com. Hopefully you'll be issuing your fine there.
Yes, exactly. And so we're thankful for the help we have legally with those matters. So we're grateful, and just keep all this in prayer and keep praying for all believers in the churches across the nation, and just for the Lord to continue to lead us and direct us in all these things.
All right. Thank you so much. If you or someone you know is getting fined for just living life, a tyrannical fine, make sure you head to fightthefines.com. You can donate there to help support the cost of the team of lawyers that we've hired to be there for Canadians in this time. Drea Humphrey for Rebel News.